Welcome to Learning in the Making. I'm your host, Iran, and here on Learning in the Making, we invite you to join us every episode in a new project where we play, tinker, experiment, and ultimately discover the world around us. Today, I am joined by an amazing co host who is also, gratefully, a colleague, Brianna James. Hi, Brianna.
Hey.
So Brianna is honestly someone I hold a lot of admiration for. Brianna is a storyteller, a maker, an innovator. She also holds a degree in law, a degree in design. She is behind so many of the new visuals that you see here for Maker Ed, like the banner down below. And she just has so much wisdom and enthusiasm to share with us, and I'm very glad to have her here on the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Saran. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited too. So what do you have for us today? What type of project are we going to be working on?
Yeah, so today we're going to be making stamps
Okay.
and not like postage stamps, even though these are pretty amazing, but we're making like stamps. And we're going to use those to make some awesome patterns and a cool project to remember all the things that we're thankful for. So in my house this past week, we celebrated a day of thanks. And so it got me thinking of all the things I appreciate in my life. And so this project is going to tie all those things together.
Okay. All right. So how do we go about making stamps?
So the reason I like stamps is because literally almost anything could be a stamp. Even your fingertips can be stamps, or your hands, or your feet. But I have a goodie bag of like things I just took out of my recycling bin at home for us to make some stamps out of. So let's see what I got in here. Well, first I have a little piece of bubble wrap. And this is just in a package of something I got shipped. And so I colored that, and then it made this cool little pattern. So if you have any packages or anything coming to your house, you can use that to make a stamp. I also have a marker in here, which is not from recycling. But the marker is cool because you can use all the little pieces of the marker to make stamps. So you can color the lid with the marker itself, color the bottom, and you got another stamp. Now this is from my recycling. This is a grimy cup from my coffee this morning. But you can also use a marker or a stamp pad and color the rim or the bottom and use that to stamp. Oh my gosh, what else is in here? I got a cork. If you have corks around, you can use that for stamps. And food. Food makes great stamps. These are some Cheerios I scavenged from the ground that my daughter dropped on the floor after breakfast. And I glued those onto this little piece of wood, or you can use a ruler, and that can also be stamps. So go around, explore, find anything that you can put ink on or color on and press down, and you have a stamp.
Okay. All right. Well, I have also just an array of different things here in front of me for today's project. A lot of similar things to you. I have bubble wrap as well.
Nice.
But I also have like a bunch of, let me show you, just like tidbits, straws, this arrow.
Straws are awesome.
Blocks, a Lego. I also have cork. I have this feather. I don't know if it is like, I don't know, strong enough, but
Let's
maybe.
try it.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and I have, I don't know, this tire wheel thing. I think it's also a Lego piece that I bought.
Oh, I have one of those too.
Might have a cool texture.
Awesome. And I see your popsicle sticks. Those are also pretty stellar stamps. I have some popsicle sticks too.
Cool. Yeah, also, if you are watching along, you're going to need some type of adhesive. So I have just like liquid glue here. I also have a hot glue gun if you happen to have one of those as well. Hot glue guns will allow things to dry faster, but liquid glue works just as well.
And I also have a rubber band. So this is a stamp that I made earlier, and it's just a bunch of cardboard bits that I cut up, and then I held those together with a rubber band. So if you don't have glue or some other adhesive, rubber bands are also awesome to hold your stamps together.
Very nice. Great idea. Okay, so do we just start putting it together?
Yeah, let's make some stamps.
Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna switch to this one. So I have this wood piece here, and then I also have a cork, and I'm just gonna glue it down.
The way to go. So I kind of made a similar stamp here, and let's see, there we are. And I just took a popsicle stick and I trimmed it down, and then I glued it onto a cork. And so now that's my stamp. And it looks like you have your little block on your cork, and now you have a stamp too.
Yeah, I'm gonna set that to the side to dry. So I have a stamp that I tried to make.
Okay.
And if you can see here, I tried to use your idea of taping some cardboard together. But what I've been finding is that the top piece, the pieces underneath are a little thin. And so like the middle part of my star has been coming through really, really clear, but the edges don't always come through so clearly. It's a little flimsy. So I'm hoping that with the cork, I don't know, since like the backing is around the entire piece that's going to be the design, hopefully it'll be able to come through a little more clear.
Yeah, I think you should be good to go. And also you can try putting your star on another bottom too, and maybe that would hold a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a
and you
good
might
idea.
get those edges a little crispier. So that's something that you could try a little bit later.
I was also curious about using straws.
Yeah.
Using the straw, not just for stamping, but as that base piece too. So like I have some beads here. Let's see. I'm gonna try this. So I'm gonna take this bead. I like the shape of this. It's kind of like a flower.
That one.
And then I do not know if this is gonna work. We will see. I'm gonna put some hot glue and then the straw. What do you think? Do you think this is gonna be
Awesome. I do. I think now you have a
sturdy?
stamp.
Oh no, it fell over. Okay, maybe I should hold it until it dries.
Yeah. So I have a sponge that I got for my sink. As you can see, that part is a little wet. But I'm going to cut out this sponge into like a funky blob shape and see if I can use that as a stamp.
Oh, that's fun. So how did you get into stamp making?
Well, back in the day, I used to make these scrapbooks when I was little, and I just loved stamps. And then when I got older, I started screen printing and making t-shirts, and that was kind of like another way that got me into prints and patterns, and that's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show.
Okay.
Do you use stamps at all?
Great question. I feel like I don't use them, or haven't used them in a long time.
Yeah.
But I have been thinking about my aunt who, when I was younger, used to make cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her having just like loads and loads and loads of stamps, and ink pads all over her
Yeah.
house. And she would make, cards for special occasions or thank you cards, holiday cards, and things like that. And I also used to scrapbook, not too intensely, but I also used to scrapbook probably around like the middle school era. And I used to love stamps and stickers.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
make,
stickers.
yeah.
I love me some stickers.
Yeah, yeah.
I cut out my little sponge heart, and it's kind of funky. It doesn't really. Let's see. You got to get in the shot. There we go.
Uh-huh.
It kind of looks more like a brain maybe than a heart or a kidney, but that's okay. We're trying new things.
Or you
And
could
I could use it. It'd be awesome.
It could be a butterfly. You could use both sides.
I love that.
Yeah.
This is a butterfly I made, Iran.
Uh-huh.
And perfect.
Yes. I love it. I see it.
And now I have all these other little bits from my stamp too. So I really tried to make one stamp and ended up with about 20 stamps. So that is also exciting.
I wonder, like how you could use glue maybe to come up with different shapes
Ooh,
of all the pieces you have left.
I love that. Hey, Iran.
Yeah?
Stamp fact. Okay, so here is a fact about stamps. Did you know that the first stamps actually didn't use ink? Like today, we have a stamp, we have our ink pad, and that's how we stamp. Well, OG stamps were actually used with pressed wax. So they would melt wax and then pour it, usually to like seal an envelope, and then put a little metal piece on top of that to make a seal. So I know you have some Play-Doh.
I do have some Play-Doh.
Yeah, maybe you can like make a Play-Doh model of what a wax stamp would look like.
Okay. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
That is such an intricate process. Like, I don't know. I feel like so much of today's focus is like how to do things faster, how to make a lot of something quickly. But if you want to make like a wax seal for an envelope, that just feels like such a, I don't know, committed process.
It does, but it also sounds fun. Maybe kind of dangerous. So I need some supervision, but I think I'll give it a try.
Okay, so I have my little piece of Play-Doh here.
So this would basically be like your little wax drop there. And then you have your square stamp you just made.
I do.
Or your star stamp, whatever one you're excited about.
Let's see. Okay, the square one is not so dry yet. The star one is.
Okay, let's try it. Let's see if that works better pressing it.
Okay. Oh, can you
Bam!
see that?
And your little star.
It still has a little paint on it.
I like it.
Okay, that's cool. And it is really stuck to the paper too. Like it's really
Now
on
you
there.
can glue that on the envelope and send it in the mail.
I just might. Okay, wait, I want to make another one.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm gonna make. What do I have? Try this one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I like that one a lot.
Pretty good.
I like that one a lot. It
So this
seems
is the
like
process of how stamps originally were made. But now we're going to use our scrap, recycle, homemade stamps to make some really cool patterns.
okay. What is a pattern?
So a pattern is just a repeated decorative design. I see you got your patterns on your shirt.
This is a pattern?
Yeah, you have like similar images repeated and it's decorative.
Okay. Can you see what it is from there? Can you see?
I can't see. Tell me about it.
It's a Star Wars shirt.
Very nice.
Yeah, so it has little Yoda here, Darth Vader, Stormtrooper, and Chewbacca. Just over and over and over again, all over the shirt.
I love it. That's a pattern.
That is one of the things that I did this weekend. I watched not just one, but 2 episodes of Star Wars. And that was fun. That was really, really fun.
That sounds pretty great. I did not watch any Star Wars, but I do have my patterns on. And I just got something simple, just some black and white stripes. Patterns can be fun. Or it can be, mine's kind of boring, but that's cool. Still
No,
makes
it's
me
classic. It's classic.
Thank you.
I
And I got my
love a
polka
black
dots.
and white
You
stripe.
can't really see my polka dots, but I was trying to mix my patterns up.
There's polka dots on the bow.
Yes,
Very nice.
they're a little hidden.
Very
so.
nice.
Thank you. But I was trying to think when we were talking about this episode and talking about patterns and stuff, I was trying to think of like patterns and looking at clothes that I had in pictures. And I found this one of me wearing, well, hold on. Sorry, someone's zooming me. So here are, can you see that?
Yeah.
Here are a bunch of patterns. So these are all kind of like hand-drawn patterns, but some are lines, some are wavy. They kind of remind me of nature, like the waves and wind and rain. And some are dots, multiple sizes. And so patterns can really be anything. And they're everywhere, like the way that leaves look. And I actually have some other patterns actually here that I can show you. So this is a little notebook that I made, and we got a little mustache hat pattern going on.
What,
and
you
inside,
made that?
there's another pattern. Yeah, so basically this is just half sheets of paper, and then I like stitched it and just tied a little bow on the outside.
Wow.
And you got a little book.
Wow.
And I got
Very
another pattern, and this was a card that somebody sent me.
Mm.
So patterns, they can change colors, like the same shape with different colors. And like I was saying, leaves also are really cool patterns, like the way that they kind of mirror each other. So some, they grow in like V's, or they kind of grow in U shapes. And so I think trees are really cool patterns. So I always look when I'm on my walks, like what patterns the leaves are making. And can you see this one, this lizard? Like her little scales. Can you see her little scales?
Down a little.
Yeah, that's another pattern too. And Iran, you know what time it is. Pattern fact. Okay, so I was showing you that lizard, and the pattern fact is that there is this type of chameleon called a veiled chameleon. Can you see that? Lovely lady. And they have all of these really intricate patterns, and they actually change. So the patterns are like lines and colors and dots, and their patterns change depending on their mood and also their environment. So when they're in different colored surroundings, the pattern on their skin there changes.
Wow. So it's like the pattern is communicating.
Right. And it's also like part of their identity and sends nonverbal signals and helps them hide. So patterns are cool and they do tell stories, um, which I think is pretty neat. And when we were talking about doing stamps on this episode and patterns, and I was thinking about some of the patterns that are in my life and that tell stories. And one that I thought of was a kimono that I had when I was little, which I no longer have. But I'm Yonsei, which means that I'm the great grandchild of a Japanese immigrant to the Americas, and that's my grandma. Let's see. Can you see my grandma
Over,
Dorothy
over,
in here?
over, over.
That's my
Oh,
grandpa.
wait, back a little, forward a little.
Oh no, she's in the light.
Wait, over, over, over. Right. Okay, perfect,
Uh, uh,
perfect.
uh, uh, uh,
There she is.
Where's my grandma?
Beautiful.
I need my air horn sound again for that, I feel like.
Air horn for
But
grandma.
I know. So this was the pattern that I had on my kimono, and it's actually a hemp leaf, and I always thought it was a flower, but I think it's asanoha in Japanese. I'll have to look that up, but it means hemp leaf. And so these would be actually on the kimonos of kids because hemp was like very vigorous and it doesn't need like a lot of care. And so a lot of the kimonos for children would have this on the pattern on the kimono so that the kids would grow big and strong. And so when I was looking for this print, I came across another pattern, which is this one. And this is an uroku, which is like a scale kind of pattern. So it looks like a snake or a fish. And a lot of the samurai would have this pattern on their shields. And it was a talisman to kind of protect them from harm. So I thought that was really cool too.
Those are really cool. The first one is really beautiful. The first one that you said your kimono was that pattern on the fabric. I love it. It looks like stars to me, but I see how it looks like a plant too. Yeah, that one's really vibrant, really beautiful. So I also have something with even more patterns on it. That is also connected to my grandmother. And it is a scarf of hers. Can you see that? So this one is like so many patterns. And it's folded in half. That's how big it is. It's folded in half. But I love this scarf and I love its patterns, and I keep it on my altar at home because my grandmother's passed now, and I keep it on my altar at home with a bunch of other things on it. And yeah, it's something that I look at every single day, and it brings me a lot of comfort. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And kind of one of the inspirational pieces behind this project is capturing those moments that bring you memories and that give you joy and kind of ground you. And so I think that's really cool that we both have patterns kind of reminiscent of our grandmothers. And so hopefully we can bring that into the projects that we're doing today. So let's use our stamps to make some patterns.
Yeah, you have me thinking about the connection between the grandmothers, but also connected to the patterns of the was it an iguana or no a chameleon? Chameleon. And how the patterns of the chameleon changes based on its mood. And I don't know, that has me thinking about like what are patterns that can be representative of you. Right, so folks who are watching, we saw a lot of different types of patterns that you showed us examples of dots and waves and lines and all different types of shapes, right? And just like which shapes might represent you at different times. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what you got me thinking about.
Yeah. Like shapes and colors. So I think if I had to
yeah.
think of my kind of pattern, it would definitely be one with a lot of colors and a lot of shapes, like very fluid shapes. Because, you know, I've done a lot of things and moved a lot of places. So I think my pattern would be kind of like wavy lines and colors and happiness. How about you?
Yeah, great question. Circles and lines. Circles and lines. I think in all the different patterns I've been playing with the stamps I've made today, circles and lines keep coming up. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why do I keep gravitating towards circles? Maybe like some moon energy or something. Like, yeah, like bright light, but also kind of like reflective. I don't know. I think a lot. I reflect a lot. I read a lot. So I feel like those might be the shapes that represent me. Color is interesting to think about. I've been into purple lately.
Okay.
But also generally like gray and black. I wear a lot of gray and black. Yeah, okay. So I think next we should use our stamps to make some patterns.
Awesome.
So I actually have a few that I've worked on, and I think they keep getting better, to be honest, which I feel like is just a testament to practice and experimenting. So originally, I would say this is kind of where I was just testing out what my different stamps looked like. And then once I kind of got the hang of how they worked, because also I'm using paint. I'm not using ink, I'm just using like some basic paint here of different colors. And yeah, so once I got the hang of it, this one I made using, wait, let me ask you actually, what do you think I made this with?
Is it a lid?
Yeah.
Or a cup?
It sort of, it is kind of a lid and a cup, but of a very particular kind. It's of this half of an egg. So I use a half of this egg.
That's pretty fun.
To stamp these circles. And then once I got the hang of just like basic circles, I interlocked them and tried to create like a little, I don't know, ring pattern. Another one I have here, just some basic dots. And I made that with just the cork itself. I didn't even glue any other shape to it or any other object to it. I just use the cork itself because it has a really interesting texture. So every stamp looks similar, but is not quite the same, and I like that. Let's see, I have my stars here. I tried to start mixing patterns. So I used my star stamp for this one, and the rim, the edge of a straw, and that's how I got this one. And then yeah, I started thinking about how can I keep layering all the different shapes I have, and how can I play with more and more shapes. So like this one has the ring from the egg, but also the star, also the smaller circles from the straw. And this is when I was testing out using the marker ink. So this is just a square wooden block, maybe more like rectangular wooden block. But I wasn't able to get the marker to come through so much.
Yeah, so markers are actually a really good ink source. And so this one, for example, would be great to use a marker because it's plastic. So this is just a plastic cup. So if you wanted to use that, let's see, here's my marker. Basically, you can just color around the rim, the marker like that, or the cup like that. And then when you have your ink all the way around it, you could just press it onto your paper, and you also get tape.
Okay, yeah, that's way more like clear and saturated, which makes sense because I was using a wooden block, so it was just like soaking all that up. And then the last stamp I have, I didn't show this one, but this one is just 4 popsicle sticks on a piece of cardboard. And let me show you. I'm really excited about this one. This is
Ooh.
I know. This is the one. I'm into this one. And then I think I want to use my flower shape here. I'm going to get some red paint. Add my newest addition. Oh, interesting. This one might be better off for the Play-Doh. Ah! Okay, oh man. So I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of like a few little dots.
I can.
Oh man, yeah. So I think this one is better off for when it has to press into something.
Yep.
I think I need something with a little bit more width, maybe.
Yeah.
A little wider. It's only giving me 5 little dots, 6 little dots.
Yeah, the ones that I used that were kind of small and narrow, like you were saying, definitely took either a lot more paint, or I really had to press them in there. So the ones that I made that were with a little broader, so like I showed you my button stamp earlier, and then I pressed them onto here. And so that one worked a little bit better, but my Cheerio didn't work so great. When I had my one little stamp Cheerio, I had to put so much paint on that. So definitely the ones that are a little bigger, larger surfaces, I think make kind of more of an impact. And so this is a pattern that I made to kind of look like bricks. And I made that by this was the one that I showed earlier with the popsicle stick. I just cut a little popsicle stick triangle and glued it on my cork. And then made this little kind of brick pattern.
Yeah, wow, that one's awesome. Wow. Do you have any others?
Well, I do have one that is kind of the project that we're doing today. So this is going to be our gratitude keeper. And so I use a cork and just black ink on this one to make the pattern on here. So should we make our little envelope keepers?
We should. We should.
Okay. So what we're going to do is cut our paper into a square, and then we're going to use our stamps to make a pattern on that paper. So the first step is to make a square. And you could use any size paper, but basically you're going to want to fold 2 triangles. So take one end of the paper and then fold it down. Yep. And make a little triangle.
Like this?
Yep.
Okay.
And you'll have kind of that little bit on the edge. And so then make your crease.
Okay.
And then unfold it.
And unfold it.
Yep, and then take the other corner and fold that down into a triangle. And so you should have like an X when you unfold it.
Okay.
Okay. Yep, and so then you can fold it down. So see how we have like this little edge here?
Mm-hmm.
Just fold that over like that. And that's the piece we're going to take off so that we have a square.
Okay, so am I gonna cut that piece off?
Yep, so you can cut it off or rip it off. So you should have a shape that looks like that.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to tear mine off. But if you have scissors, then you can cut it off also. Mine's not perfectly straight. That's okay. But now I have a little square.
Okay, almost there. Let's see if I can tear mine. So what are some other things you make? You were sharing earlier that you used to screen print.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still do that?
Yeah, so I do some screen printing. I do a lot of writing. I actually write for a kids lit magazine called Bravery. Let's see if I have one here. This was a couple issues ago, and it was a Ruth Bader Ginsburg issue, and I'm especially excited for the next issue, which is about Ella Fitzgerald. And so that should be fun. So I do a lot of writing for young folks, and I have a passion project, which is an ABC book called Girl Jobs, about it's all women who do kind of amazing jobs in all sorts of fields. Like B is for butchery and A is for astronaut. And so learning about women who have pursued all sorts of things and are all kind of idols for me. Like when I was little, I wanted to be an animator, but I just didn't see a lot of animators that looked like me. And so hopefully this book is a space where young folks can see themselves reflected in people doing jobs that they dream of doing themselves one day.
That's very exciting. And you're doing the writing and the art for the book?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing.
So it should be fun. So do you have your square?
I do.
Okay, so we're going to unfold our square, and then we're going to fold down each corner into the middle to make an even smaller square.
Ooh, okay. Oh, okay, okay. I'm starting to see.
And then that's going to be our little envelope.
Ah.
And so then we have our little square, and all the sides unfold into like a little envelope there.
And then I can put my stamp seal on it.
There you go.
Ah, that's fun. Wow, I was super curious how you got that shape. That's awesome.
Yeah. So actually, paper folding, origami, is another Japanese art form. And so we just did a little origami there on the slide, and now we have our little envelopes. So now we're going to unfold our envelopes and make our patterns.
Okay.
You know what you're going to make on yours?
I really liked this this pattern I was playing with earlier, and I think I'm gonna try to expand it.
I love that. Okay, Iran.
Expand it.
You know what time it is.
What time is it?
Pattern fact. So we were talking about when I go on my walks, I look at the leaves and they make patterns. But there's a lot of patterns occurring naturally from like the way that waves flow and crash on the beach and birds' wings and their feathers. And one of the really cool patterns that I'm kind of enamored with is this. Do you know what this is?
Wow. I mean, I'm taken by how much, like how watery it looks, but I think it's sand.
Yes. So this is the desert, and like the wind kind of blows the sand into these natural patterns, but yeah, that look a lot like waves.
Wow.
And so I thought that was really cool.
That is really cool. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I think of my pattern, this starts to speak to me. So to make my pattern, I'm going to take my bubble wrap and I'm just going to use my marker and color over that in like different colors and see if I can get that to stamp. I feel like I have to work kind of fast because I don't want it to get too dry.
I'm working on building out this pattern. Let's see.
Okay, I colored half of my bubble wrap and now I'm gonna put the other half on my ink pad here. And we'll see if my ink pad or my markers work better, or if they both work wonderfully or terribly.
Wow, when I'm building out these patterns using different stamps,
Hmm?
I'm really finding that I have to think about how to keep everything even
Yep.
or symmetrical.
And you know, a lot of patterns are symmetrical or are kind of mirror images and repeated exactly, and some aren't. Like some are kind of wild and freeform.
Do you have a preference?
Those wild ones kind of speak to me.
Yeah. I thought you might say that.
So here's my little sheet here. The start of, it looks almost like a honeycomb, kind of.
Yeah. I love the variation of color.
Mm-hmm. And like some came out depending on how hard I pressed and where, you know, some are darker and some are lighter. But that kind of makes it more interesting, I think.
Let's see. Okay, I think I'm on my way.
I like it. So I have my little bit left over from when I made my square. So I think I'm going to make a little bookmark. And I'm going to use my crayon and just color my finger here. And I'm going to use my fingertip as my stamp.
I shared this one earlier, but I have a little sponge over here too.
Oh,
and
nice.
So that's what I use to make that the middle. So I'm gonna do that. And these.
So I made my little fingerprint stamps. And this pattern's kind of fun because the first image from when I press my finger is darker because every time I press it, it loses a little more ink. So the pattern kind of reflects every time I recolored my finger, you can see that in the darker image. So I'm going to take my fingerprints and I'm just going to turn these into some little characters.
I like how, I like that the different saturation of color, or like how much color there is and how to me it looked like completely different colors. But knowing that it was just your fingerprint getting lighter and lighter, that's super interesting. Do you have any more pattern facts?
I don't have any more pattern facts, but I'm sure they exist. So I would invite anyone who has an awesome pattern fact to shout out to us at makered.org on Instagram and tell us your pattern facts, and we will put you in a drawing for an awesome Lego kit. So send those pattern facts.
Yes, send them over. We want to know more.
So I have my little finger stamps, and I've drawn some little animals on there.
Oh my goodness. Those are too cute.
For my pattern. So, all I had was a marker on my finger, and now I got a little zoo on a bookmark.
Wait, wow. Wow. Okay, I think I'm at the point where I need to let this dry for a bit. Okay, so once we have our envelope patterned, what do we do next?
So here's my envelope. I'll hold it back into the pattern, and you can just write down. So this was from my other sheet that I made, and I had like the little bits left once I made a square. So I cut those out, and I just wrote down some things that I was grateful for. That's upside down. Like my home, the sun. So Aran and I live in the Bay Area in California, and it's pretty warm. It's like almost 70 degrees today. So, being able to wear sandals in November, almost December, is pretty cool. I'm pretty grateful for that. And my family, they're hilarious. And I'm glad to be locked inside with them during this time. And hot tea. I love hot tea. I drink tea all day. It warms my little soul. And so these are all things I'm grateful for. And I just put these in my little pattern envelope. And, when I'm feeling down or something makes me excited, then I'll just drop them in here. And I can hold on to them and then pull them out. And then when my family gets on my nerves, I can throw it out.
No, you could look in there and you can remember. It'll be a reminder. You're like, oh,
That's
yeah.
right, Aran.
Oh, yeah.
Remind all of the things that are magical and special about them and about you.
Yeah.
I didn't write any things about myself in here, but sometimes when I'm funky, I look at all the things that I feel good about myself and all my special things I bring into the world. And then I'm not so much in a funk anymore.
Yeah, that's called an affirmation. And we talked about affirmations a few episodes ago.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen
self-care
that episode,
headgear,
go check it out. What was I going to say?
And also use your paints that you made last week or last episode with Annalise for your stamps.
Yep.
So we're bringing everything together.
Yep.
And I was also just thinking, if there's someone special that you haven't seen in a while because you're sheltering in place, you can write a bunch of little things that you like about them and put them in your envelope and send it to them as a little gift.
Yeah. Yeah, snail mail is really special. Handmade mail is really, really special. Send that off to folks and for them to receive that. Just like that intention, that thoughtfulness, that care. I think I want to do that. I did not see my family over this past break. And I've been thinking that I want to send them some snail mail. So maybe I will actually, yeah, I'm going to use this project. And I'm going to send them all little gratitude keepers and share with them what I'm grateful for them for. Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna do one too. I didn't see my parents, so maybe I'll send them a little gratitude keeper as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this idea. This has been awesome.
This has been so fun. I'm glad we got to hang out.
Yeah, me too.
There is a coloring sheet of the chameleon that we showed, so you can also make your stamps and do a little coloring and say what's up to us on Instagram and Twitter out in the world at maker.org.
Yeah, you can find the project guide and directions for this project on our website, as well as all the previous projects that we've done this year. Yeah, it's been great. Keep learning and keep making.